On the occasion of birthday of our legend Viswanathan Anand, I am releasing this video of these three games that I like a lot. Okay, so the first game is Anand versus Kasparov. Second is the game of Anand against Aronian, and third is against Caruana. Okay, these three are very exciting games, and I like it a lot. Hope you will also enjoy it. Okay, so let's start with the first game. So the first game is between Anand and Kasparov. Started with the move pawn to e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, pawn takes, knight takes, knight to f6, knight c3, pawn to a6. This is Sicilian defense Najdorf variation. Then continues with bishop e2, pawn to e6, castles, bishop e7, pawn a4, knight to c6, bishop to e3, then castling by black, pawn to f4, queen c7, king h1. The point of king h1 is that white don't want his king to be on this diagonal, which queen can try to attack, and this diagonal in the later stage could prove to be dangerous sometimes. So it continues with rook to e8, bishop f3, bishop to d7. Just both the players have completed their development. Castling is done. Both the players minor pieces are also developed. Okay, so from here the action will start. So Anand continues with knight to b3, knight a5, then here exchange of knights, then queen d3, rook a d8, rook f d1, bishop c6, pawn to b4, pawn sack. The reason is if queen takes, then this b file will get opened and it will be very dangerous for black to continue. So that's why queen c7 by Kasparov, pawn to b5, bishop back to d7, rook a b1, a takes, knight takes, attacking the queen. So here bishop takes. Here the thing is knight was getting very much like active, so that's why Kasparov decided to give his bishop for a knight. Then queen takes b5, rook to a8, pawn to c4, pawn to e5, bishop to b6, attacking the queen. So queen to c8, then pawn takes, then pawn to a5, bishop f8, pawn h3, queen to e6. Then here comes the amazing move rook to d5, exchange sacrifice by white. So here black accepted the sacrifice, knight takes, then e takes. Now this pawn is a passed pawn, it's a very dangerous pawn here. So it continues with queen to g6, pawn to c5, e4, bishop back to e2, rook to e5, queen d7, rook to g5, rook to g1, pawn to e3, then pawn d6, rook g3, queen takes b7, queen e6, and after the move king h2, Kasparov decided to resign because these three pawns are very dangerous. I like the idea of like how he did the exchange sacrifice, that moment, because like it requires a lot of strategic knowledge, and even that too against Kasparov. That also one more thing you can see, this is hanging here, so it will be like a lot of trouble for black coming up. These three pawns are almost, you can say, unstoppable. Here Anand like could even manage to get two more queens, not even one. So Kasparov here resigned. Okay, so now let's go to the second game. Second game is played between Aronian and Anand. Here Anand is playing with black pieces, and I think some of you might have already seen this game. This is a very dynamic and super exciting game where Anand just keeps on sacrificing everything he could. Like lot of sacrifices he offers, and Aronian couldn't take anything. Okay, so it started with the move pawn to d4, d5, c4, c6, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, pawn to e6, pawn to e3. This is the semi-Slav defense. Then knight b d7, bishop to d3, pawn takes, bishop takes, then pawn to b5, bishop back to d3, bishop to d6, castling by both the sides. Then queen c2, bishop b7, pawn a3, rook c8. Just developing the pieces. Both the players are completing their opening principles, developing minor pieces and castling. Then knight g5, pressure on the h7 pawn. But here Anand calmly played the move pawn to c5. Let allowed this knight takes h7 here, and now the move knight to g4, allowing the sacrifice of the rook. But here f4 was played, then pawn takes, bishop to c5. Here again, if takes, like if white will take here, then there is knight takes coming, pressure on this diagonal will be open and queen will be very dangerous. So here just bishop back to e2. Aronian decided not to take this sacrifice as well, so he has like two sacrifices, you can already see he has not accepted. Then knight d to e5, again sacrifice. This pawn cannot take, okay, because it is pinned. If the f pawn takes, the problem is queen d4 check is coming. Okay, let's say takes, queen d4 check, king moves, queen check, king goes here, and then sorry, rook goes here, and then knight f2 is an amazing smothered checkmate. Okay, so here the move played by white was bishop takes knight. Here bishop takes d4 check first, king h1, then knight g4, knight finally takes here the rook, pawn to f5. Anand is not in hurry to capture this knight. He first played the move pawn to f5, giving away this pawn as well. But here knight g6 was played to not allow the queen to come here on the h4. Okay, that's why knight went on g6. So now queen f6, pawn h3, attacking the knight. Still, queen takes g6. Here, uh, Aronian played queen to e2, because if pawn takes, then just queen h6 is coming with a mate. Okay, this bishop is there guarding, so king cannot run. So after queen h5, queen d3, and bishop to e3, finally Aronian decided to resign, because like so many threats are coming. This check threat is coming, this queen is very active, this bishop is there, and the main purpose of this bishop move is to cut the support of this pawn. So like queen takes pawn is also coming, so it's just the mate is almost unavoidable here. In just 5-6 moves it's going to be a checkmate. Very exciting game played by Anand. Okay, so now let's look at the third game. This was played by Anand and Caruana. So this is already the final position, you can see, and here he was a piece down. Okay, like when the final position arrived. Okay, so let's look how the game began. So the game started with, here Anand is white. The game started with the move pawn to c4, e5, knight c3, knight f6, knight f3, knight c6, pawn to g3, d5, cd5, knight d5, bishop g2. This is the English opening. Then bishop c5, castling by both the sides, pawn to d3, bishop to b6, bishop d2, bishop g4, rook to c1, knight takes c3, bishop takes c3, then rook e8, pawn to b4, queen d6, pressure on this b4 pawn. So, but here he decided to play knight to d2, queen h6, knight to c4, queen h5, rook c2, because there was pressure on this e2 pawn. It continues with rook a d8, so knight takes bishop, then pawn takes, pawn to f3 attacking the bishop, bishop back to e6, queen d2, pawn to b5, f4, bishop to g4, bishop takes c6. Okay, see, this is a very rare idea. Here two things are happening, like here most of the people would like not play such a move. First, this is the doubled pawns, okay, and usually we don't give our bishop for a knight, and this bishop is like not only the attacker, it's also the defender of the king side. But Anand decided to play bishop takes, because after pawn takes there is f takes e5. Okay, now this pawn is very strong, you can see like how this pawn has helped Anand to win. Then pawn f6, e takes f6, rook takes e2, there is an attack. But first, pawn f7 check, king goes to f8, then comes an amazing sacrifice, bishop takes g7, amazing. Then king g7, queen c3 check. rook to e5, blocking it. Then comes the move queen to d4. Here rook cannot take because this will just queen. Here queen g5 was played. Here finally rook to c5, and he has to take now, or else what else will he do? He's losing a piece. So like anyway this position is lost, so Caruana decided to take. Then f8 promoted to queen check, king g6, queen to f7, and here Caruana decided to resign because the checkmate is again coming in few moves and there is no way to escape. This king is very weak. There will be continuous series of checks and it's completely winning for Anand. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you have enjoyed the games of the Anand. And again, happy birthday to the legend.